minority draws line on gender, recognizes only male, female to quell the senior high school curriculum controversy. There's a photo of the Minister of Education, Haruna Idrisu. 12 to advise president on the economy. Is the Presidential Advisory Group on the Economy. PAGE. P-A-G-E.
What happens to the Economic Management Team and the Cabinet Committee on the Economy and the Fiscal Council? What happens to all of them? Why is the Finance Minister not on that group?
The Finance Minister is a minister. When they advise the president will issue instructions to the Finance Minister.
Yeah, but the Finance Minister is seen by many as the Prime Minister,
the lead advisor on finance and the economy.
Finance and economy. So he should be part. He should at least know what the president is consuming by way of advice. Yes.
Others would say in businesses, the business can have an advisory board, and the accountant or the CFO would not be a part of the advisory board, so it's fine.
Well, the challenge here is that the Finance Minister plays a major role, okay, in the affairs of the economy.
Yeah.
So you need him. Okay, you need him to actually always indicate where you stand, what you can pay and what you cannot pay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he'll be part, because the Vice President is in there. The Vice President over the period has been chairing the Economic Management Team. So let's see. Let's just wait and see.
Well, let me give you the purpose and the mandate of this group, the Presidential Advisory Group on the Economy. Mandate: provide strategic counsel on macroeconomic management, fiscal consolidation, debt sustainability, and coherence between fiscal and monetary policy. Advice on structural transformation, industrial development, competitiveness, and export-led growth strategies. Remember, we have the Export Development Council as well to advise on exports. And then there is offer guidance on sectorial development, private sector expansion, investment mobilization, and sustainable job creation. Support the design, sequencing, and implementation of the 24-hour economy, the Accelerated Export Development Program, and national productivity enhancing reforms, and conduct periodic assessment of Ghana's economic performance and propose policy adjustments or corrective measures where necessary, and contribute expert input to Ghana's economic negotiations, engagements, and partnerships with bilateral and multilateral development partners, international financial institutions, and investors. And let me share the members in the group.
Okay, go ahead.
We have the Vice President, Her Excellency Professor J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman. We have Private Sector Leader, former member of PAGE, Mr. Ishmael Yamson. So PAGE has been in existence, because if you have a former member, it means PAGE has been there before. It's not a new creation. Economist and Private Sector Leader, also a former member of PAGE, Mr. Kwame Pienim. Miss Nana Oye Mansa Yeboah, former Deputy Minister of Finance and Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, former member of PAGE. Dr. Kobna Dufour, economist, former Governor of the Bank of Ghana and former Minister of Finance. Sir Samuel Eson Jonah, Private Sector Leader and Industrialist. Mr. Francis Atto Brown, former World Bank Infrastructure Specialist, Agribusiness Investor. And we have Dr. Henry Kofi Wampa.
Is it our own?
It's our Brown? Own farmer, Atto Brown.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And there's Dr. Henry Kofi Wampa, former Governor of the Bank of Ghana. Togbe Afede, economist and private sector leader. Miss Abnamwa, Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Stock Exchange. And Professor Priscilla Chubesi Bafo, University Professor and Academic Researcher. There's also Professor Patience Abo, University Professor and Academic Researcher as well. So those are the members of the 12-member Presidential Advisory Group on the economy. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 women and 7 men. There's a good balance there, isn't it? Yeah. So that is the story on PAGE. More stories from Daily Graphic. Goil reduces fuel prices at 150 stations, and Gayadec signs $60 million agreement with 2 other institutions to develop the Yinehini mines, that's the bauxite mines, and Fishers to formalize unions to protect rights and promote sustainable fishing. Daily Graphic.
I see the goal reduction, that takes super from 10 cities 99 pesos to 9 cities 99 pesos.
Yeah.
Below 10 cities for a litre. That's good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, that's what we look forward to. Anyway, the daily guide for this morning says SHS LGBTQ manual. Minority slums NDC, AG frees Abu Trika accomplices, government orders 4 Airbus helicopters, and NSA scandal Gift Your Worry trial begins January 22nd. Father arrested over, guess what? Attempted 1 million sale of 3-year-old son.
Wow.
Anyway.
Attempted 1 million Ghana cedi sale of 3-year-old son.
Yes. I mean, I'll share the details with you when we get into the details later on.
Now, to the BNFT, the goal story is here on the front page. Goal reduces fuel at stations to ease cost of living. Petroleum, IUU fishing surges in Volta waters as CIMAG raises alarm. IUU fishing is illegal, unprotected and unregulated. Illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. Sanction oil firms over unpaid surface rent. This is Auditor General to Petroleum Commission and GRA. And oil palm farmers worry over increasing smuggling. We are smuggling oil palm from Ghana to other countries, and the farmers are worried. Now, Standard Chartered secures consecutive top spots in retail banking and customer excellence survey. That's the story.
Okay, so let's get into the daily gist for today. NSA 38 million scandal Gift Your Worry faces trial after 22 million refund rejected. Atufosin missing in Mahama economic advisors team. SC grants 500,000 bail to jailed Maslog officer. And Ghana signs another aircraft deal with Airbus. Ministers still draw free fuel against president orders. And minority blows NDC cover over LGBTQ content in SHS syllabus.
Now, the Ghanaian Point has a story on the customs interception of 25 million suspected illicit tablets. It says Customs National Security intercept 25 million suspected illicit tablets at Takoradi Port. Ghana orders 4 multi-mission helicopters from Airbus. And minority is demanding the dismissal of the NACA DG and the board chair over the LGBT content. Harun Idrisu says sex means biological sex at birth, male, female, nothing else. And Ayalolo says that they have only 80 of the 245 buses we bought in operation in the Greater Accra region. The rest have been deployed to other regions.
The Insight says Otibon superstitions property fraud flags police role in armed land takeover by Trasaco. Endorsement search for Brian Achampong energizing his campaign message. NPA comments store for rapid revival, calls for modernization and automation of strategic state assets. Nzima East MP highlights jobs, education and agro-processing at first year assessment. That's the Evaluate Jira Ajomoro constituency. The district is the Nzima East district, but the constituency is Evaluate Ajomoro Jira constituency. Drivers accused of overcharging fares on Accra routes. Journalists appeal for government intervention. And Frafraha community vows to strengthen ties with Nungwa Traditional Council. On the front page of the Insight newspaper.
Finally, the Inquisitor newspaper resetting Ghana James best CEOs. According to the Inquisitor, Sami Jemfi, Good Board, and Diosayokra, TCDA, Eduji Tamaklo, NPA, Kojochu Mbuafo, FIC, and Anthony Sapon are James best CEOs. Now, Ghana Exim Bank is 10 years old, and the question is, how can we use the Ghana Exim Bank to drive growth, especially for exports and industrialization in Ghana? There's a photo of Sylvester Mensah, the Exim Bank CEO, and local government ministry's journey of consolidation, reform, renewed hope in 1 year. Those are stories from the Inquisitor. Can go online now.
Yes. Okay, let's get online then.
Major online, Sedina Tamaklo Ationu nabbed in US as extradition process begins. There's a story on the rules of peril as well in focus. Rules of peril. Residents of Gomwa Nyanyano decry deplorable road network, demand government action. Ghana's IMF program remains solid and on track. This is according to the IMF resident rep. And fiscal discipline, city stability, May 2025, a very good year. This is IMF speaking on our economy. Order from above, Trotro operators reply as commuters fume over fare hikes and gridlock.
Who's above giving those orders?
Let me give you the details of that story. Now, they've been speaking, and this dawn when I was coming to work, it was the usual. Lots of people by the roadside looking for vehicles to get to work. Now, passengers in Accra and other parts of the Greater Accra region are facing a new financial burden as commercial drivers and their conductors, locally known as mates, have begun implementing arbitrary and exorbitant fare increases. Now, the story says that on the ground at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, the atmosphere is one of frustration and resignation. And one mate on a DOM-bound route explained to Joy News on Thursday that the decision to hike prices was passed down directly from vehicle owners and station masters. It's an order from above, yes. So whatever the master will say is what we also abide by. That's what the conductor told our reporters. But this thing is not just an Accra problem, and it didn't start today. It's been there, and I think it's been a failure of our transport planning, policy, and implementation.
You see, yesterday while we're talking about this system, when we spoke to Benedict, I told you the message from Ernest that talked about the London system. And after the show, I had a long conversation with him about the London system, for instance. Now, he talked about the fact that per his understanding, these areas are zoned and given to the private sector. Now, if you want the state to own it like we do in our part of the world, we know what the outcome would be. Well, we started Ayalulu. Go and check it today. We did the Metro Mass Transit. Well, we've done STC for a very long time, which SNIT had invested in. And SNIT at the point considered, was selling its stake in STC because it was just not, profitable. So the question is, how can the state back the private sector to provide effective transport systems for Accra? That's the conversation we must have. And not saying
just for Accra,
the whole country. Yeah. Okay. And that's something we should be discussing now. It doesn't have to be a conversation about, the state saying, I have released 20 vehicles and
I'm buying 300 more
How
vehicles.
How sustainable is that?
And we've seen the record of buying vehicles and still not changing the situation. So is that the way to go? Or we need a proper structural systemic solution to this? And on that, the Vice President, Her Excellency Opoku Agyemang, is to meet the Transport Ministry over the Accra bus shortages. This is a report on citynewsroom.com, and I always say is the Ghana bus shortages and the transport challenges. Commuting time has not changed or reduced since my days of picking rides from Aja to Edum and Edum back to Aja, and it's the same everywhere. Now, any candidate other than Baumia is a lottery. This is Atachia speaking on the NPP's flag bearership race. Kumasi land failed to be full in 16 months without €6 million funding. This is the mayor speaking. And NLC halts planned GATC strike over legal breaches. You know the GATC people? They are the people at the airport. They are the Ghana, I want to get you the full name. It's the Ghana Air Traffic Safety Electronics Association. They want to go on strike. In one breath, they say that when it came to negotiations for their earnings, they were told they were not an essential service. So they were not given any better earnings, and they are demanding better. Now that they want to go on strike, they've been told that they are essential service, so they cannot
pay them more. Well, let's get into the details. That story I talked about, the father who's been arrested for attempted 1 million sale of a 3-year-old son. So we're told a man identified as Kofi Agyemang has been arrested by the Ghana Police Service for allegedly attempting to sell his 3-year-old son for 1 million. Now, the arrest was made by the Akwetia Police Command in the Eastern Region after they received a tip-off about Agyemang's plans. And according to reports, the police officers posed as potential buyers and negotiated with Agyemang, agreeing on a price of 1 million Ghana cedis. He was arrested when he brought the child to a designated meeting point. And Agyemang told the police that he was driven by financial hardship, and unconfirmed sources alleged that Agyemang intended for the child to be killed for ritual purposes, with the body later returned to him to make it appear as though the child had been murdered elsewhere. And the child has been placed in protective custody with investigations ongoing.
And this is very sad,
very,
to attempt to send your child Anyway, let me take you to the education story and the NACA related one. Sex means biological sex at birth. Education Minister clarifies. This is the Ghanaian Point, page 5. The story says the Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, has clarified the government's official position on the definition of sex in Ghana's education system, stating emphatically that it must refer strictly to biological sex and the sex of a person at birth. According to the minister, there should be no ambiguity in how sex, man or woman, is defined in educational materials used across the country. And he says, regarding the definition of a man as in a man, a woman as in a woman, as in biological sex, and sex means biological sex, referred to man, woman, sex, reference to man, woman, sex means reference to the biological sex. So if you are born male, you are male. If you are born female, you are female. That's according to the ministry. Clarity, no ambiguity.
And just by way of information, that's something that former Finance Minister Seth Chekwe sent to me. Now he says the Minister for Finance has always led the technical team that makes the presentation to the advisory team, not the advisor. Similarly, it's the governor who makes the monetary financial presentations, not the advisor. Same with the government statistician, and that's based on the point I made. That was the finance minister not part, because at the end of it all, you expect the finance minister to be the one to implement many of these things, and so he says the minister of finance has always led the technical team that makes the presentation to the advisory team.
Okay, let me take you to the transport story. We are told that the vice president will be meeting the transport minister or the transport ministry to discuss the stranded passengers issues and the bus shortages. Now that story is on citynewsroom.com, and the story says that Vice President Professor Jane Opoku-Agyeman is scheduled to visit the Ministry of Transport today to engage sector leadership on the persistent challenges confronting public transportation, particularly in the Greater Accra region. The visit comes amid growing public concern over the reduced availability of commercial vehicles during peak hours, inflated transport fares, and long waiting times, especially during the morning and the evening rush hours.